Okay, class, example 7. I want you to read through this. So if you haven't already read through this, pause the video now and read through it. Okay, so what we're after here is we're after an equation that relates y and x. And more specifically, we want a linear equation. So we're going to use our calculator to help us. So the first thing we're going to do is clear your calculator so you don't have anything stuck in your y equals, you don't have anything funny turned on or something you need turned off, something like that. So clear your calculator. So remember to clear the calculator just to make sure. You're going to hit second, plus, and then it's 7, 1, 2. Alright, so once you do that, we're going to plug these two lists into our calculator. And to do that, you're going to go to your stat, and number 1 there says edit. So there you'll see lists like L1 and L2. So you can go put those x values in L1, and you're going to put your y values in L2. So go ahead and pause the video and do that. Okay, now that we've got our numbers in L1 and L2, we want to look at the stat plot. So to see the stat plot, alright, so you need to go to second, y equals. You see above the y equals, you see in blue, or at least mine's in blue, the word stat plot. So you're going to go in there and you're going to go into plot 1. So you need to, number 1 is plot 1. You need to turn it on. Well, I put my lists in L1 and L2, so make sure your x's are in L1 and your y's are in L2. Now, I want to be able to look at this, but I can play with my window if I want to, but the easiest way then is to go to Zoom and go find where it says Zoom Stat, since that's where we put excuse me, since that's where we put our numbers in our stat edit. Go to Zoom Stat and we'll see our graph. So let's do that and then look at it. Okay, so when we look at our graph, I know it's a little different looking than what your calculator actually looks like, but you end up with something like this. You can tell here near the origin, there's a bunch of little points, and then you've got a couple points just spread out there. But what we're looking for is that linear equation, and that does not look linear to us. So we need to find a way to make it linear. So what are we going to do? Well, let's work a little bit more then in our table. So let's see, we learned in class that if we take the natural log of our x's and our y's, that helps to straighten out those points and make them appear more linear. So remember in L1, let me turn off my marker, sorry. So remember in L1 we put our x's, and in L2 we put our y's. But I want to be able to look at the natural log of x and the natural log of y. So we're going to go back into our stat edit, and so I'm going to write that over here. So we have our stat and edit, and let's go over to where it says L3. Well, up here where it says L3, right here on top of the L3, you're going to put your cursor up there, and you're going to type in the natural log of L1. And remember, you find L1 by hitting second and the 1 button. What that's going to do is when you hit enter, it's going to give you a whole bunch of numbers in this list. They are going to be the natural log of all the numbers that were in my L1. Alright, but then I also need to do my natural log of my y's. So in L3, remember we put the natural log of x, and so in L4, let's put the natural log of my y's. So I'm going to go into my list here, go up on top of the L4, and you're going to type in the natural log. Where did we put our y's? We put them in L2. You'll click enter, and again you should have a whole bunch of numbers show up in that list there. Alright, so now I want to look at this list. So let's go back into our stat plot. So refer back to your notes on how to find your stat plot again. Alright, so you went ahead and you did your stat plot for your second part here with your L3 and your L4, and you find you have a graph that looks something like this one that I just drew in. But now we need to write our equation. So how do you get the equation? So to get the equation, you go back into stat. This time you want to go over to calc, because we're going to calculate that equation. And we said it's going to be a linear regression. So go to lin reg. Alright, there's two different ways your calculator can look. You can have it where it says X list and Y list, and if so, our X's were in L3 and our Y's were in L4. If not, you're going to have something that's going to say like lin reg and it'll say like ax plus b. You have to tell it that your x's are in L3, so type in L3, comma, which is above the 7 button, and your y's are in L4. So go ahead and do that, and let's see what equation we can come up with. Okay, so when we do that, we end up with what I have right here on our calculator screen. It tells us y equals ax plus b. A is approximately 1.4987. B is 8.2138 times 10 to the negative fifth. Now be careful because it does have that 10 to the negative fifth, which remember, that means that there's 4 zeros and then that first digit. So technically, for our purposes, we're going to say that's the same thing as 0. So when I go to write my equation, before you would have just wrote y equals, you'd have plugged in A, plugged in B, and you'd have been done with x in the middle there. But remember, we did not just use x and y. We used the natural log of x and the natural log of y. So when we go to write our equation, it's going to be the natural log of y equals 1.4987 times the natural log of x, and then we could put plus 0, but we don't have to put the plus 0. So that is the equation that we were looking for. Now, the one that's on your assignment, if you're looking at this because you still have the assignment, you're having a little bit of trouble on that very last problem, it is going to have a y-intercept. You're going to have a b value that you're going to need to put in that equation. All right, good luck, guys. Sorry this is so long.